Hello. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this important training program. Today, we will be providing information about the vital role you play in helping to provide a safe environment for patrons attending special events here at Marist College. The guidance in this program is relevant for special events of any size, scope, or complexity, whether you are involved in something like commencement, an athletic event, a concert, a conference, a seminar, or just hosting a guest speaker. Regardless of how large or small your event is, you will learn some fundamentals of crowd management, security, and emergency response, which will enable you to play an active role in providing for the safety of our event patrons. We will begin with an overview of the people and agencies who might be working at special events. In the same way that the size, scope, and complexity of special events can vary greatly, the number and type of personnel assigned to those events will vary accordingly. However many there may be, the personnel who work at Marist College special events will generally fall into one of four basic categories: event staff, Marist security personnel, law enforcement personnel, and finally, fire and ambulance personnel. Event staff are the people who are directly involved in some way in making the event happen. This might include the event planners, ushers, technicians, ticket takers, people handing out programs, etc. The event staff are our most visible ambassadors at each event and are most often the only people our patrons will interact with. As such, the event staff will be the first individuals that our patrons look to for assistance with problems or questions that they might have, as well as for guidance and direction in the event of an emergency of any kind. This means our event staff must be considered as critical members of our security and emergency response team. Marist security personnel include all of our uniformed staff, including supervisors, as well as departmental administrators. Generally, personnel from the Office of Safety and Security will be assigned at all moderate to large events. They should serve as a primary escalation resource for the event staff whenever they need assistance with a difficult situation. Additionally, security personnel will assess the possible need for assistance from law enforcement or fire department personnel, and they'll have primary responsibility for requesting and engaging such resources. Law enforcement services at Marist College are primarily provided by the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department, and it is common to see their police officers working at special events on campus. Additionally, when circumstances warrant it, Marist may engage the services of the Dutchess County Sheriff's Department and the New York State Police. Finally, if there are any events involving dignitaries, federal law enforcement agencies may be present as well. Fire department and ambulance personnel at Marist College are generally provided by the Fairview Fire District. In addition to responding to calls for service, Fairview will often provide dedicated personnel and equipment for special events at Marist, as appropriate and necessary. Because emergency services personnel and equipment can sometimes be a distraction for the event patrons, it is common for them to be strategically located in such a way as to minimize their presence while allowing them to respond efficiently when they are needed. Now that we have an understanding of the personnel who will likely be assigned to special events at Marist College, it is time to discuss your role in helping to provide for the safety of our event patrons. This begins with an understanding of the fundamentals of crowd management. Most crowds at planned events are law-abiding and compliant. However, crowds can be potentially dangerous because the anonymity of being in a large crowd can increase the odds of unacceptable behavior. Additionally, the actions of one individual can shape the dynamics of an entire crowd, causing it to take on a personality of its own. This is often referred to as a herd mentality, which can cause members of a crowd to follow each other's actions. What may start as low-level, unruly, or disruptive behaviors can escalate into looting, projectiles, fighting, trampling, panic, and worse. Once in action, crowd behavior is difficult to stop or slow, which means it is critically important that we address any potential issues effectively and efficiently at the lowest possible level as a way to prevent any possible escalation. We must take an active role in managing the crowd so we can maintain a safe and orderly environment. This brings us to the focus of this slide, the fundamentals of crowd management. The first and arguably most important instruction is for you to remain calm. Panic and fear are the primary causes of crowd-related injuries, so it is important for you to maintain a calm exterior. Remember that the patrons are looking to you for guidance, regardless of how you may feel on the inside, You must remain calm and collected on the outside. The second important task that you have is to ensure that pathways are kept free from obstructions. If an incident occurs, two critical things must transpire to keep people safe. First, people must be able to move away efficiently from the incident, and second, emergency personnel must be able to move efficiently towards the incident so they can mitigate the problem. Keeping pathways clear is the most important and effective way that you can facilitate the two above actions. The third important component of crowd management is to provide clear, calm directions. You are the person in charge, and you must manage the people in your area to avoid confusion and chaos. Don't let this intimidate you. Directing crowds is really a matter of common sense, good judgment, and good communication. Remain calm and polite at all times, and provide information quickly and concisely. Remember that people need direction, so don't be hesitant or indecisive about what you want them to do. Be clear and precise, and keep people informed of changes. The patrons will be looking to you for guidance, and they will do what you tell them to, as long as you're confident and comfortable in giving them directions. Another important thing to remember when giving directions is that sometimes you will need to communicate to people using hand signals. If you find yourself in that position, here are some guidelines that will help you. First, if you are trying to give a hand signal to a specific person, point directly at them and then give the hand signal. When someone is in a crowd, they may not realize you are trying to direct them and may think you intend the signal for others. Pointing is the best way to be clear about who you are directing. Second, make sure you use big, obvious gestures to direct them. Smaller, more timid gestures can be easily missed or misunderstood, which can lead to hesitation and confusion. Before the event begins, you should take the time to practice basic hand signals such as stop, proceed, move left or right, and slow down. If you have the opportunity to practice them in front of a mirror from a short distance away, you will get a good sense of what you will look like when you're trying to direct others. The final guidance I would like to offer is that you should always know where your nearest help is. Before the event begins, pay attention to where other event personnel are positioned and make sure they know where you are. If you find yourself in need of assistance during the event, you will be able to get that help much more quickly if you already know where to find it. Next, we are going to talk about the fundamentals of incident response. Although most events occur without any incident or disruption, it is important for you to know what to do if something out of the ordinary occurs. Similar to the segment on crowd management, my first instruction to you when responding to an incident is to remain calm. It is common for even a low-level emergency to trigger a physiological response in a person, which can be similar to the fight or flight response we would experience in a life or death situation, although usually milder. This reaction can cause us to feel agitated and somewhat anxious about the situation we are facing, which is the opposite of the calm demeanor that we want to portray to the patrons who are looking to us for guidance. In order to counter the effects of this physiological response, the first thing you should do is take a long, deep breath in and out, and then focus on your role and on the task at hand. The next step is for you to assess the situation. As quickly as you are able, try to figure out what is happening, where it is happening, and to whom. Does the situation involve an individual, a group of people in a small localized area, or does it have a broader impact on the entire event? Also, try to assess the severity of the incident. For example, is it something more serious like a possible heart attack, or is it something less serious like maybe a twisted ankle? Your assessment should also include a determination of whether the incident presents any ongoing danger to other patrons. Finally, try to consider what resources may be needed to effectively respond to and address the situation you are facing. Once you have assessed the situation, it is time to take action. There are really two fundamental actions for you to take. You should request any additional resources that may be needed, and you should direct people away from the affected person or area, or move the affected person away from the event space. The moment you make a determination that additional resources are needed, you must request those resources. Remember that there is always a lag between the time that resources are requested and the time that they arrive. This is called response time. The longer you wait to request them, the longer it will take for them to get there. Also, when considering the notification of additional necessary resources, it is important to remember that any level of additional response will likely create at least some degree of distraction for other patrons. Therefore, it is always preferable to try and resolve the issue yourself or to bring the problem to the resources rather than bringing the resources to the problem. If your only option is to bring in additional resources, then make every effort to ensure they have a clear pathway, which will improve the efficiency of their response. Once you have requested additional resources, you must focus on the issue at hand. First, if there is any immediate and ongoing danger to the individual or others, you must move people away from that danger. Make every effort to accomplish this in a calm and orderly manner while being mindful to maintain a pathway in for responders. If there is no immediate danger or risk and the affected person is ambulatory, it is best to move them away from the event so that they can be assisted without becoming a distraction for other patrons. A good example of this might be an individual who can't find their child or who may have lost some property. Otherwise, if the person is not able to move or be moved, then it is important to direct others to move away from them, creating a small clearing around them. This provides two primary benefits. First, it helps to afford a certain degree of privacy for the aided individual, and it will keep them from feeling crowded during the incident, which can have a calming effect. Second, it creates space for additional resources to respond and assist the individual. The help you need will not have to fight their way in and take time to push the crowd back. They will be able to respond more directly and immediately focus their efforts on caring for the aided individual. Throughout all of this, make sure that you maintain your calm and provide clear directions to both patrons and responders. Those around you need to see that you are under control so that they will have confidence in you. Also, remember that most incidents are going to be dynamic, not static. This means that you must continually reassess the situation and adjust your actions to adapt to the changing circumstances. Now that we have covered the fundamentals of crowd management and incident response, I would like to highlight a few common types of incidents to provide you with a basic understanding of how you might respond. Medical incidents can vary greatly, from minor injuries or illnesses to those with life-threatening consequences. When responding to any medical incident, be sure to notify the nearest security officer and give them a brief understanding of what you're dealing with. To the best degree that you are able, provide comfort to the aided individual and make sure that they are safe from further injury. If the aided individual is ambulatory, help them relocate to an area nearby that is away from the event, which will allow responders to assist them with more privacy and less distraction to others. If the aided individual is not able to move, then ask nearby patrons to move away from them to provide space for the responders. Sometimes at special events, you may be confronted with disruptive individuals like hecklers, unruly patrons, protesters, etc. As I have previously mentioned, step one is to make sure that you remain calm. If you are dealing with a minor disruption, be careful not to overreact, which could make you part of the problem rather than part of the solution. Very often, minor disruptions are caused by some sort of issue or grievance perceived by the disorderly individual. You should try to identify what may be triggering their behavior and attempt to mediate or resolve that issue. If you are not able to do that, you should refer them to a higher authority. Remember that a referral to a superior member of the event staff will generally present less of a distraction than a referral to the security or police that are there. Although security and law enforcement personnel are always ready to assist, it is usually best if they are not the first escalation option for minor disruptions. You will have to use your best judgment in determining an appropriate course of action. If you are confronted with a major disruption, you should immediately notify the nearest security officer and then attempt to calm or redirect the disruptors. For major disruptions, the security management team will take control and activate any additional resources that may be necessary. There are also a variety of security-related incidents that you may be confronted with, including missing persons or property, aggressive behavior, an armed, non-aggressive individual, etc. Regardless of the situation, you should remain calm and notify the nearest security officer for assistance. It is important that you get as much specific information as possible from the reporting individual or about the suspect. For example, in the case of a missing person, you should ask for their name, gender, approximate age, what they are wearing, where they were last seen, and what they were doing prior to going missing. Additionally, you should get the name and a contact number for the reporting individual. By collecting such details immediately, you will be able to provide information to the assisting security officer even if you become separated from the reporting individual or lose sight of the suspect. Of course, it is far better for you to maintain contact with the reporting individual or suspect until they have been handed off to the assisting security officer. In other words, don't ask them to wait here while I go get security. Instead, ask them to come with you while you go to the nearest security officer. The reason for this is because the assisting security officer may have additional questions for that individual that you did not think to ask. Once you have lost contact with them, we lose our ability to get additional information from them. Finally, there are many examples of possible critical life safety emergencies that might occur, including a fire, structural failure, an out-of-control vehicle, an active shooter, etc. Even for these more serious incidents, the first step remains the same. Take a deep breath and stay calm. When responding, your primary focus should always be on your own safety and the safety of those around you, so you should immediately take any necessary steps to protect yourself and them from immediate danger. Your next priority is making sure that responders have been notified and that they're on their way. Finally, you should make every effort to move people away from danger as efficiently as possible. Make sure you anticipate and prepare for the expected ingress of responders to the affected area. Anything you can do to facilitate their ability to respond to the scene more efficiently can dramatically improve their capacity to mitigate the incident effectively. This concludes your basic training for special event security. Before we close, I would like to summarize a few critical points. First, remember that the goals of our initial response to any situation or incident are to limit the growth of that incident, to ensure citizen and responder safety, and to stabilize the scene. Because many incidents cannot be resolved without additional help and resources, it is often not possible for you to completely resolve the incident yourself. Instead, you should focus your efforts on taking actions that will ensure an efficient and effective response. This will put us in the best position to contain the growth of the incident. In brief, this is best accomplished by identifying and controlling or containing the affected area, or hot zone, by moving people away from danger as efficiently as possible, and by maintaining a clear ingress path for responders. These should be your primary goals whenever you may be confronted with any type of situation or incident. Thank you for taking the time to go through this training program. It is essential for each of us to understand the important role we have in helping to ensure special events at Marist College are conducted in a safe manner, and that we are each prepared to handle the various issues and incidents that might present themselves. If you have any questions or you would like additional information, please call the Office of Safety and Security and ask to speak with the director or either of the associate directors. Thank you.